Good evening, everyone. This is the Doctor. I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. It's been a little cloudy on our end up here in Washington, but I have to say, overall, it's been pretty good. Today we're going to be talking about Sterne, one of the units that is my personal favorite, one of the actual UR units that I use on a regular basis, so I do feel like I am actually kind of an expert on talking about Sterne. So from here, we're just going to go over what his role is and how powerful this unit really is in my eyes. He is a dark element. His jobs are Soldier, Dragoon, and Ninja. The ones we really care about, though, are going to be Soldier and Ninja, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. His master ability is critical damage plus 25%. This is important, so consider, just to talk about critical hits real quick. Critical hit modifiers, standard in this game, are 0.1 to 0.5, so 1.1 to 1.5. So that increases his threshold for critical hits from 1.35 to 1.75. So he has the potential to deal a lot more damage with his critical hits if you can make him critical. And we're going to talk about some of the advantages of his abilities to letting him do that. His TMR is called the Lion's Armor. It gives HP 434, Evasion plus 6, and Defense plus 8. Overall, not the worst TMR that you could get for him. Now, looking at his stats, we have here the Ultima stat comparison. So some callouts is he has really high agility. Of course, with that ninja sub, his agility is at 59 once he's fully awakened. That's without his plus 6 that he gains from his ability board. He's number 7th in dexterity, so fully maxed out. That puts him in the realm of about 168, and then he gets an additional plus 36 from his ability board. Now, his luck is 131, which is 45th out of 69th. He does get luck plus 78 from his ability board, though, which is a little bit advantageous. It's going to be important to consider his luck also in his evasion build, so it's nice to see he gets that really high luck up percentage for him. He does get a chunky HP plus 15% on top of his HP 1,513, so it is nice to see that he is, even though he's 41st in terms of HP, he does get that chunky HP percentage up. Now, he is 24th in AP at 119 fully maxed, and he is number 5 in movement, but in terms of movement, he does have more movement capability and more access to movement abilities, and we'll talk about that when we start talking about his ninja job. Now, coming in here, we're going to start talking about his first job, and his first job is going to be Soldier. And in terms of his Soldier abilities, I think there's a couple things here you would definitely want to use, specifically his passives. So, looking at all of this right away, unlike most UR units, I feel like, Sterne is actually pretty usable when he's not fully awakened yet. And I use Sterne in the growing levels, and he's someone that has been always on my team. Some callouts here for the PvP is Paralyzing Edge was really nice. If you don't have him awakened to 4 or 5 star, and you don't have access to that Shuriken yet, having access to Paralyzing Edge is really good. It's a ranged attack, it deals heavy damage, well, I mean it deals a little bit of damage, but it deals enough to one-shot mages. It gives you that advantage in PvP when you might not normally have it. He also has Counter Slash, which I do have set on my Sterne, and we'll talk about, he only has 2 counter options, so I believe that Counter Slash, well, he technically has 3, but I believe out of all of them, Counter Slash is the only one that's really viable for him. His Hazard form is an incredible ability. If you need to build your AP, if you need to get away from an enemy, run away, Hazard form, you'll have enough AP to use a range damaging technique. When they come into range, you'll not only gain an attack bonus, but you will have that AP in order to do a technique. I can't say I've ever used Hazard Spin, Hard Slash. I have mostly, when I unlocked Paralyzing Edge, I used mostly that, because if I was going to get that close to an opponent, I was going to be dead if I was going to use these techniques. The PvP game is all about range. People see your Sterne and they panic, and you just have to know that you're probably not going to get close. Self-Sacrifice, I would say, is probably Sterne's best passive. When it's fully awakened, it gives plus 60% attack bonus to your character. And when you see here, it says it decreases resistance to all attack types. what actually happens when you level this up is that decreases resistance to all attack types actually reduces itself. So he does gain less decreases resistances to all attack types as you leveled it up. I know that's weird to say, and you might have to think about it for a second, but that is what it does, and it is number one passive that I'll recommend. Grim Reaper, I'm not sure why this is listed as a passive right here. This is actually an attack ability, it's his Doom ability, so I will say I don't have an Awakened 6-star, but I would not see myself using Grim Reaper. I could see myself using Drain Force potentially. I have been screwed over in PvP matches where I've had an opponent drain me, and that was the difference between life or death. It's not going to be something I go to every time, but it is something I would be aware of. Hazard Break is probably his strongest attack in his arsenal, but the problem with Hazard Break is that it requires such a large amount of AP compared to Shuriken that we're going to talk about, that you might not always get the chance to use Hazard Break. And if you do get the chance to use Hazard Break, the amount of AP it takes, it might just be better to use your Limit Break. So Hazard Break is one of those attacks that, yes, it's an AoE cross attack, it does have nice range, but if you're at that point where you have that much AP, you might just want to Limit Break it and call it good there. Now, his second and third classes that he has are Dragoon and Ninja. And I can say with all confidence, in my Sterne, I have never used his Dragoon abilities. And that's because his Ninja abilities are pretty much 200% stronger than anything that the Dragoon has. Lancet, the amount of HP drained in the counterattack, has been minimal at most when I've used it. I could see the jump +1 being useful, but honestly, the max HP up as well. Honestly, you have other resources in the Ninja, particularly Shikuchi, which not only gives you jump +1, it gives you movement +1. And you also have Shadowrun in Ninja, which gives you increases speed and luck. So you have so much better passives, and you also have better attacking abilities in the Ninja sub that I have never, and I say this fully confident, ever set my Dragoon sub, except for before I unlocked my Ninja sub. And that was just a lot of while I was experimenting with Sterne, and to this day, I probably would never set his Dragoon passive. His Ninja, is my permanent go-to. Shuriken is unlocked almost immediately. Shuriken has an insane range. It's excellent for targeting mages. The AP cost is extremely low, and if you build your Sterne correctly, you can double Shuriken right out the gate, which can be extremely powerful, especially in PvP. If you're on your automated PvP, what's likely to happen is Sterne will use his... Oh, let's go back to Soldier Slide real quick so I can tell you what the ability is exactly. Oh, that's not it. He will use... There we go. Hazard Form. And then the moment he uses Hazard Form, that gives him access to enough AP to use double Shuriken. And in PvP, the automated AI will go Hazard Form, move your Sterne to a safe location, and then double Shuriken. Usually it'll hit a Medina or some type of other DPS, because the DPS will move after Sterne. So Sterne will move, enemy will move, Sterne will move, Shuriken them, and then Sterne will move again and Shuriken the people who are attacking your other units. So for AI, Shuriken is incredible. That's a level 20 ability. Shadowrun increases speed and luck. Level 20 ability, always set on my Sterne. I think there is a case to be made for an argument between Shadowrun and Shikuchi. I think it really depends on the map, and you really have to have the knowledge of your opponent's team, of the map that you're on, in order to take advantage of this. And here's something that I'm going to talk about in terms of like the current PvP map right now. And specifically, we're going to talk about quick matches. So the height difference that you can get, if you can find a way to get a height difference on your opponent. So in the current map, you can jump behind and get that height difference. A height difference adds a critical hit modifier of plus 5% critical hit chance. So if you can move your Sterne back, lure the enemy into range, or if you're in guild battles, right, and your Sterne is already on the high ground, and the enemy is being lured into range, you're going to get that 5% bonus critical hit chance by moving your Sterne back up onto the high ground. Not only that, you're also going to be out of range of multiple abilities, because multiple abilities can't hit 2 height up. Some of the only abilities that can would be from Frederica, mages, and I know Ryu can actually hit a few up as well. But if your opponent has other units, odds are they're not going to be able to hit you 2 panels up, or they're only going to be able to hit you with a weak ability. Now, Sterne, this is important, has that critical hit damage up 25%. And while you can't guarantee a critical hit build, and while a critical hit build is not fully in the meta right now, you can, with that in mind, build him a little bit towards critical hit. So if you're wanting to really emphasize that critical hit and not so much the speed, I would probably use the Shikuchi, but make sure that you're equipping him with equipment that has critical hit plus. Maybe you're pairing him with Ryu, who also offers a critical hit buff bonus next to people that he's standing next to. Make sure that he's within 2 squares so that he's getting the affinity bonus from people next to him, that he has the crit bonus Esper equipped to him. There's so many factors that you need to have in order to go for the critical hit build. It's really kind of the big brain build. So if you're just the big, like, I want my Sterne to glass cannon, I want him to be fast, I want him to shuriken people to death on auto, I would just hit Shadowrun. If you're doing AI, and you're doing AI auto battle, I would just hit Shadowrun, I would just stick to it, and I would max it out. That's all I would do. The only situation as well I might use Shikuchi is if you don't have the JP to max out Shadowrun right away, you might just want to set Shikuchi until you are able to max out your Shadowrun. Now, he does have a counter here, which is Poison Sting counter. Kind of like Lancet, nobody wants that as a counter. Why would you set that as a counter when you can do a counter attack from Sterne? Far stronger, dealing HP damage. Doing poison does not do much. He does have some other moves here. The translation here, since I believe are actually wrong on some of them. So Shadowbind deals small damage to the target and has a chance to inflict stop. Again, you would have to see the percentage. Yamaton deals moderate dark damage to the target. Kasatsu increases own accuracy significantly and grants 100% critical rate for a turn. So again, you could always move back, pop that Kasatsu, and then lure them in and toss the shuriken. That is a viable strategy, but keep in mind that the attack bonus is only going to be 1.35 to 1.75. So you have a large variable, and you want to make sure it's only in those situations where maybe you're luring an Engelbert in where you can't fully one-shot him, or you're luring a DPS in where you can't fully one-shot him. And again, your AI is not going to do this. This has to be in manually controlled PvP. So again, don't bank on this for your AI battles. Make sure you're building appropriately if you're doing the AI battles. Now, finally, we're just going to go over his review. He does have a weakness to, a weakness to lance weapons. He is resistant to blunt, and he's a little bit weak to magic. He has a resistance to dark, which in the current meta is really good because you're going to see lots of Sterns, you're going to see lots of Ryus. You are going to see lots of Engelberts, so having the light down is not that great. He does have a resistance to death, which is nice. He does have a resistance to confusion as well, so that confusion dagger technique from other thieves. He's going to be strong in PvP. He's going to have strong range. Focus the attack, agility, and evasion. He can be crit built, and Shuriken is your bae in this. He is always going to want to focus on that Shuriken. In terms of his crit build, just an example of how I've used it on the recent EX2, I knew that I had to do 2k damage, and I could do it with my Ishtola. If I didn't have Ishtola, I literally built crit, went him on high ground, and threw a Shuriken, and I got a 2k Shuriken. So that is also a way that you can utilize his critical hit in the future. Alright, you guys, well, I am losing my voice, and this is the end of our Sterne video. Looking forward to seeing you guys tonight on stream. And again, thank you so much for all of the support. It has meant so much to me. I love just replying to your comments and hearing all the positivity down below. Please make sure you're dropping those comments. It means so much to me. I don't think you guys even understand. My mom actually comes on and actually reads these comments and is on my Twitch a lot. So it means a lot to her too. So don't say anything inappropriate. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.